Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Now today is a huge catch-up video. This is something that I think needs to be put out there for the new products and the new games that are coming into the SideGame library and potential new experiences for you and your families and friends to enjoy. In addition, these are great ways to just see in general what we at SideGame LLC think is a great game and something we're looking forward to receiving. So what is this? This is a collection of Kickstarter games that we are anticipating their arrival. So we are not sure when they're coming, but hopefully they'll be here soon and I can learn them and teach them best we can. So that's the plan. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video and are excited as we are to learn and share these games. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first game that we are waiting on the arrival is Primal Awakening. And so the way we're going to do this list is we are going to go from the most recent order to the least recent. So the one we're waiting on the most will be in the very back. So Primal Awakening is a cooperative experience where you are going to be hunting these giant creatures. It's all card play, very combo driven, very exciting, and it looks fantastic on the table. Big mats, big creatures, and the card play is very Marvel Champions-esque. We're going to be using some cards to play certain cards. And the deck construction seems very fascinating, where the cards that you have in your deck are based on the weapons you're using. So I really like the whole idea behind this, and I think it would be a great experience. Up next, we've got... Sorry, it takes a little while to load here. As you'll see, there are a lot of games to get through today. So this next one here we have is a set of promos from the Dice Tower. I really like supporting the Dice Tower. I think they do a lot of good for the community. And getting these little tiny promos for the games are always fun. It adds a bit of kind of a mini expansion for everything that it's included. So I just like supporting them to pick up all those promos. So I really like the Dice Tower. Fantastic group. Yeah, nothing to complain about here. They also offer some really good organization solutions for certain things. I think they introduced these new card holders this year. Really cool. The next game on our list is Darwins Journey. So Darwin's Journey is a Euro-style game where you take the place of Darwin and you're going to be observing different evolution patterns as you play. And it introduces some really great worker placement, some new upgrading of your workers using seals. I really like this idea. The designers of the game are people that I really enjoy. They do some of my favorite work. And I think it's a no-brainer to back this one. So that's Darwin's Journey. Very excited. I love the upgraded components as well. They have these cool little glass viewing discs. I think it's super extra, but super fun. And the wax seals and just a lot of things just to love about that game. Our next game here is Vindication. And this is the Chronicles expansion. So we have all the stuff for Vindication right now, but this is going to include the new Village and Hamlets and the Chronicles expansion. So these add some more storytelling to the game, where as opposed to kind of crafting your story based on the encounters and the cards and the gameplay, you actually have some story injected into this. So I really like the idea of this and the different areas to explore. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Up next, we have Nemo's War, Journey's End expansion. Now this is predominantly a solo game, but this is supposed to add some type of campaign, and it's supposed to really exemplify the co-op play that's in here. So I think that's a really cool idea. So this is the Ultimate Edition. Very excited. I've heard good things about Nemo's War, another cool storytelling game that's got a really fascinating and fun IP, in my opinion. The next game on our list is a chip theory game. This is Burn Cycle. Burn Cycle is a cooperative infiltration game. So 1 to 4 players, very excited. You have the quality components and poker chips, everything that you love from chip theory games here, into a really exciting experience. Watched a couple gameplay videos on this, and I think it's just another great entry in their game catalog. Burn Cycle is a really cool theme as well. You're going to be the robots actually fighting against the humans. So I think that's a really cool take on this genre, where normally it's the other way around. But Robots versus humans. Very cool. Next one here is another expansion, and this is for Atlantis Rising Monstrosities. Now, I'm a big fan of Atlantis Rising in general. I think that game is amazing. It's one of the best presentation games. This is one of my side games. I love bringing it to conventions and teaching it. Fantastic game. So Monstrosities adds new characters, new monsters, new ways to play. You can always take more. And it also says it's supposed to help with lower player counts because this game does shine when you're playing with a lot of people. So I'm excited to see just how it evolves the game. So that's Atlantis Rising Monstrosities. Very excited for this one. And the art is always killer. Way to go, Vincent. Up next, we have Endless Winter, Paleo Americans. Now this has some of my favorite artwork from the Miko. And this team behind this game has really spent a lot of time adding many different things, many modules, listening to the feedback of the community. They've done a great job here, and the theme itself is really cool. You are a Paleo-American. You are trying to survive in this harsh landscape. So the game itself is deck building meets worker placement. Seems like a very great marriage of those mechanics. Had a lot of fun with Dune Imperium this year, so I think there's just more to love here. That's Endless Winter. Love the look of it, and I love all the expansions that are potentially coming with it as well. So that's the next one that's coming. Up next, we have a survival game. This is Frostpunk, the board game. Now, in Frostpunk, you're going to be controlling a settlement, very similarly to Robinson Crusoe or this War of Mine. You've got that group at home, and you're going to be using those people there and making tough decisions to survive in this harsh climate. So it's based off of the video game, which is a lot of critical acclaim, and I'm excited to see what this one has in store for us. So I like the mechanics and the difficult choices and kind of the group think that you have to make. It reminds me a lot of the decisions in Kingdom Death Monster. Up next, we have a boss battler here. This is Townsfolk Tussle. So Townsfolk Tussle has you working together in order to take out a bunch of bosses in a really cool kind of classic animation style. So I really like the look of this game. I think it looks like a lot of fun. And I'm, in general, just really excited to dive into this one. So Townfolk Tussle, I'm very excited. It looks incredible. And I like that it's a quick-paced game. You can get a session done really quickly. I think this one will just be fun to jump into. So that's Townfolk Tussle. Very, very excited for this one. Reminds me of that Kingdom Death Monster feel with the terrain and whatnot that you can activate. Up next, this is a expansion for Sale. So For Sale is one of my favorite games. I think it's one of the best auction games. I think it's wonderful. This is a great compact package. So I'm curious to see if this expansion is worth it. So just to support it in general, I'm going to go for that Advisor expansion. I like the house theme a little bit more. If that opinion changes for others, we may go ahead and get the Autorama one, but I think the house theme is fun. I mean, everybody dreams of buying a house, right? So excited to try this expansion out, and hopefully it adds something cool to the game. Up next, we have the Cartographers expansion, the Heroes expansion. It's also standalone and lots of maps. So this is a great game because it plays a whole bunch of people. Great for online learning, and the new monsters and the new mechanics just seem like fun. You can never have too much of Cartographers. All right, and then up next, we've got Agropolis. So I've never ever had a button shy game, and this seemed like a great starting point. It's a cooperative game, so I think this would help with bringing those people together. What is it? Not Agropolis, but Sprawlopolis. That's it. Sprawlopolis has a lot of critical acclaim as their best game. So Agropolis is the standalone sequel. So let's try it out. Let's see how it plays out. I'm excited. Neat theme, farming, puzzle aspect, cooperative. Hits a lot of buttons. So excited about Agropolis. Yes. Up next, we have the sequel to Dinosaur Island, Dinosaur World. This is the Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island Raw and Right. So in here, we've got all of the... it's kind of like a tile placement game. It reminds me a lot of Suburbia, where you're placing things next to each other. You'll be driving your Jeep around. So it takes the idea of owning this park, but puts you in the park. And I think that's such a cool idea. In addition, we have the Dinosaur Island Roar and Right. And this is a, obviously, roll and write version of Dinosaur Island. And I think that this is going to be a little bit more exciting than the card game, the Duelosaur Island. I'm not a big fan of that one. A lot of repetition with the card abilities. I don't think the decisions are that exciting in it. And I'm really excited to see what they do with this. So it's just an evolution of the game. And I think that's a great idea to take it in. So the next one we have here is 7th Citadel. Seventh Citadel puts you in control of a prisoner, I believe, and you're going to be exploring the land of. I don't know what this land is called, but it's used as the Seventh Continent mechanic, and it improves on it in every way. So I wasn't a big fan of Seventh Continent. It was cool for a while, but it became very monotonous and repetitive, as you were always exploring the same thing. There was no meaningful progression. Games like Tainted Grail really surpassed it for me, because you are running through chapters and you have objectives that you are clearly laid out, and you're always exploring new areas. Etherfield's also solved that problem with the shifting dreams, that you're always exploring something new. So I really like that. Seventh Citadel is going to take that approach, and I think that is a great idea. The dialogue options also seem incredible in this, and I think that any cooperative game is great to share with others, building that story together, especially in a campaign setting. Up next is the expansion for Rurikdhan of Kiev. We don't have the base game, so this also includes that. This is another game that is highly acclaimed. A lot of people enjoyed it, and Stone and Blade is apparently just more of a good thing. So very excited to try this one, very excited to dig into it. So excited. As you can tell, I'm very excited for most of these games. Up next is the Reckoner's Steel Slayer, and this is that promised expansion for this game. So Reckoner's is great. I really like the base game, but it's always against the same character. There's not a lot of variance there. You're always really going to have the same experience. So Steel Slayer ups the ante by adding two new, I don't know what they're called, epics? Two new large epics that you're going to be fighting. Normally you were just fighting Steelheart, and you didn't really do anything special, so I'm excited to see how the game changes here. Really like this game. I think that the cooperation in this is great. This is probably my favorite Yahtzee-style game, where you're going to be rolling dice and re-rolling because everyone's doing it at the same time and you're not having to wait, and I think that's a great asset to this game. So very excited for Reckoners. If you haven't read the book, I would suggest it. Read Steelheart. It's really good. Up next, we have Glenmore 2, Highland Games. So this is super exciting. I've heard nothing but good things about Glenmore. I haven't played it yet, but this is the expansion plus base game. Figure you get it all at once, kind of like with Rurik. Just can't wait to jump into this one. I love the theme. I love the color of it. It just looks great. Lots of love. Next is Arcana Rising. Now, this game is a very straightforward engine building game. I think it will play with a lot of people, very much similar to Splendor. They have these cute abacus that you're going to, abaci, I guess. Abacuses? Abaci? Abaci, you're going to use them to be tracking things, and that's just a fun component to have. It seems like it's very simple, very streamlined gameplay. Not everything has to be a big epic campaign, and I think this one nails it. Grey Fox puts out a lot of good stuff, so I hope that this one doesn't disappoint. So very excited for Arcana Rising. Up next, we have the expansion to Western Legends. This is one of those games where the more options you have, the better. So I really like Western Legends kind of going around and being a cowboy. I like the challenge of being the outlaw or playing to the game, the people who are playing. It's cool to be able to switch back and forth, to really customize your experience and to just make the most. I like that most of the experience is diceless. I love the card-driven actions, and I think that this is one to look forward to. So it's Western Legends Blood Money. Very excited for this one too. Up next, we've got Sorcerer Bringer. Now, Sorcerer is a game I have played. This is going to be our copy, though, for the library. Very excited here. It's a one-on-one, but you can play with more game. You're going to be going back and forth, fighting over these locations with very customizable decks. I love that they are modular, where you can take any two classes and mix them together and have a champion that goes along with it. It's a really cool system, and I really like the gameplay as well. It's really thoughtful. I love how you're getting the energy, and based on which player's doing what, you're using this appropriately. I think it's a really exciting game, and I think that having a cooperative version is a great way to get people involved. Not everybody likes that head-to-head, beat the crap out of each other kind of experience, so I love that you can get that gameplay in a cooperative experience. So that's Sorcerer Endbringer. Really, really excited. Great game. Next is Dead Reckoning. So John D. Clare has made some great stuff. I really like Space Base. It's a big hit. He's also done some cool things with card crafting, and I think that's where this one has really risen above it. So they use the card crafting as an upgrade system more than a deck building game, and I think that's a great idea because it's an easy way to see your cards and kind of organize it in a really logical way. I love that here. In addition, this game reminds me a lot of Scythe, but a bit more open in what you can do. It has a bunch of different objectives that you're trying to complete, And I think that's a great way to have an end condition, because everybody is working towards that end game, but they're doing it in their own way. Plus, the giant pirate ship for the combat just looks like a lot of fun. So Dead Reckoning, really cool looking game. Very excited to try this one out. Up next, we have Perseverance, Castaway Chronicles. I'm a big fan of Mind Clash games. I love Anachrony. I think they did a great job. And this system here sounds really cool. Using the same components and playing multiple games with those components, it reminds me a little bit of the approach towards Century Spice Road. But I really like this theme here. You are on an island, and it's kind of got that Lost Island vibe where you've got all these dinosaurs that you're going to be exploring with. So very excited for this one. It just looks really cool. I love the theme, love the color, love the art. I just like the direction they went with it. Up next, we have Ascension Tactics, the deck building miniature game. Ooh. So Ascension is, in my opinion, it's a good deck builder. It's not one that I would go out and grab over other things, but I love this idea of Ascension's Tactics. I love the idea of using deck building to move characters or to fuel other things, whether it be worker placement or, in Clank's case, moving around on the map. I really like this system, though, where you are doing this head-to-head tactical game. So I really like this style. I like that there's that head-to-head combat portion of it. That's also the cooperative versions. It just means this game is going to get played a lot, and that's very exciting, in my opinion. So Ascension Tactics looks great. Up next, we have Role Player Adventures. If you didn't notice, I really like Role Player. We have Cartographers, and we have this one coming out. Great evolution of the system. I like that you could have like a whole role player theme where you take the role player game, make characters there, move it to adventures, maybe on your way, do some cartographers, and then maybe you get thrown into jail, break off and play some lockup, something like that. Really cool. I like the idea of moving your characters over from game to game. I like the adventure system that they have presented here and the world that this creator has created. So I really like what Thunderworks puts out. That's Role Player Adventures. Really cool looking. Very excited to dive into that one. Up next, Merchants of the Dark Road. So as you saw, I backed the Atlantis Rising. I think that this one looks also very intriguing. The component value is up there as well, and the theme is great. The idea of having to traverse through the wilderness in order to sell your wares. Everything about this game is gorgeous. Components are awesome, and I hope the gameplay really follows. So that's Merchants of the Dark Road. Awesome. Can't wait to sink my teeth into this one either. Next is Monumental, African Empires. In Monumental, it is a deck-building game where you control a civilization. There's this cool map with some exploration, and the deck-building system itself is kind of an evolution of Cat Lady, where you're going to be activating rows and columns as opposed to playing a single card or a hand. So it's really neat because you can plan things on other people's turns, the different factions that are available, the artwork. This game just looks really nice. It's obviously a huge game, but I think it will be a great one. This might be a new side game that is often brought out at conventions and gets people involved into the hobby. So very excited. Monumental. Yeah, I think it just looks great. Next is Shill. Shill is really fascinating. It is a game that takes place in this really dark planet. I don't remember if you're on the moon, but you're on this dark planet, and your job is to use light as your ally. So it has this really cool system of you shining the light to get access to the dark parts of the planet while you're fighting off these hordes of creatures that are coming in. So I like the whole theme, the aesthetic of this, the cooperative nature. I think it will be a great game to dive into, and that's Shill. Up next is Nemesis Lockdown. Nemesis Lockdown is a sequel and standalone game to Nemesis. I'm a big fan of Nemesis. I think it is one of the most thematic games I own in the library. I think it's a great entry point for people to get into games because the mechanics are so integrated into the theme. I think this is one that's really easy to jump into and enjoy, and I can't wait for Lockdown, what they do with the creatures. I really enjoyed the different alien types in the base game. Void Seeders are one of my favorites. I think that's just such a great concept of hallucinating these creatures, and the real alien is that egg. But I'm talking about Lockdown. Lockdown takes place on Mars, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Something has happened on the base in Mars. Your job is we'll find out based on your objectives, right? So really like this game. I'm excited to see what they do with the system, the characters. Just a lot to love about Nemesis. Up next, we have Bullet. Now, Bullet seems like a great real-time game. You're going to be kind of Candy Crush style, breaking things, using them to do attacks. This just looks great. It's short, it's quick, it's light. It can play a bunch of different ways. I'm quite excited for Bullet. The theme is not really something that I'm super into, but the game itself looks wonderful, and I think a lot of people will enjoy this theme, and it's something that they really enjoy. So that's fine with me. It's going in the library. Let's enjoy it. That'll be great. Up next, we have some expansions, now specifically Cthulhu Death May Die and the Zombicide 2nd Edition. These expansions are just new characters, and just like the Dice Tower expansions, I like supporting the companies that produce the games I enjoy, and having expansions makes people feel that much more special when they do that experience using somebody else's game. So I think that's really cool to involve those. Up next is Mythic Games' Hell, the Last Saga. Now, in Hell, the Last Saga, you're going to be taking control of a settlement of Vikings, a la Frostpunk earlier. But in this case, you're going to be doing a lot more exploring in the outer area. There are some scenarios, and there are things that you're not sure what's going on. There's a overarching campaign to this game, as opposed to Frostpunk, where it's just kind of that one-shot experience. But this game's theming and the artwork looks incredible. So I'm excited to see how this one goes, and let's find out, right? Yeah, I'm just excited. Had some misses with Mythic in the past, but I really enjoyed Super Fantasy Brawl, so I'm very excited to see what this one's about. Up next is the third in the trilogy, Ankh, Gods of Egypt. I love Blood Rage, love Rising Sun. I'm excited for this one too. It's got great presence already, just looking at the sculptures, the pieces. I love the theme. I love the idea of using this, you have to keep people to believe in you, the idea of the fusion of gods. This is just a great way to play with this Egyptian theology, or the Egyptian pantheon. So this seems really fascinating. I love the idea of just being these giant gods, and it'll be cool. It'll be really neat to play. Excited for Ankh. Up next is Final Girl. This is one that you kind of put on the side of the table. You get people to an experience they enjoy. Looks great. It's a horror movie. You are the last girl alive in a horror movie. Your job is to take out the bad guy. They've done a great job with Hostage Negotiator, and this is an evolution of the system. Apparently, it's way better in every way, so that's pretty high praise. So very excited for Final Girl. Can't wait till it gets here. They've got that mystery box. I wonder what's in it. Next is the expansion for Cloudspire, Horizon's Wrath, and the Uprising. So this is just more Cloudspire. Cloudspire's a great game, great presence. We've got our copy painted, so this is, I'm kind of dreading it, but it's got more to paint, more of the miniatures for the spires, but the two new factions look great. You have the pirates that can move their base around. It's a pirate ship that flies. This is so cool. And then you've got the Uprising, who's the people on the ground who teleport in so they can kind of start wherever they like as well. So really interesting, new, unique factions. That's Cloudspire, Inkar's Plunder. Super exciting. Up next, we've got... we already talked about this one. Sorry about that. Up next is actually Foundations of Rome. So Foundations of Rome is a game where you're going to be building, go figure, Rome. Everybody has their own little board that they're going to be getting these pieces and building up. It's a cool little auctioning game, it looks like. Really exciting, gorgeous pieces, and it looks like the gameplay is quick. This is like the opposite of Arcana Rising, where you have the smooth, small gameplay, but the package is huge. So I hope that the game is great. Foundation of Rome looks like a lot of fun. I really like the designer. He's created some really fun, lighter games. So I hope this fits in that slot. Up next is from Letter Games. This is Oath. And Oath has that Kyle Farron artwork. It's designed by Cole Worley, so he did Pax Pamir, and wow, this game looks really cool. I love that it's a campaign, a game, kind of, but you don't have to have the same people every time to play the campaign. Each player affects the outcome or the start of the next game, and I think that's such a cool and fascinating concept that you have this game that evolves over time based on people playing. So I think that's really interesting. It looks really fun. I like that it can play a lot of people, and it looks very accessible to learn. So I think that's really fun, the idea of Oath, and it just looks gorgeous. So really excited for Oath. Yeah, I just can't wait. Next is Zombicide 2nd Edition. You saw a little preview of this earlier because we're getting those promos from the comics as well. But this one should be arriving pretty soon. Next in the Zombicide series, and this is a redo of the original theme, and I think that's really exciting. I really like this original theme over the fantasy versions, and I think that this is just a nice evolution of the game. It's supposed to be more streamlined, more simplified, that we can get into the game a little bit faster and get playing, that way there's no distractions, no downtime. So really excited for Zombicide 2nd Edition. It looks great. Up next, this is, as we're getting past here, we're getting into the games that we backed years ago, and this is Oathsworn Into the Deepwood. Now, this one looks great. It's another boss battling style game where you have these really cool card-driven mechanics that are going to be moving around. You have options of dice or cards to resolve things, and I think that's a really cool system. It can get those people who like kind of the calculated randomness of the cards versus the people who like chucking big handfuls of dice. It's got a really cool cooldown system, and the world they've created is really fascinating. So Oathsworn looks really cool. I love that they got some really notable voice actors to play in this. I think it's this one, if I remember correctly. It might be the next one. So this next one is Isofarian Guard. In Isofarian Guard, it is a bag building game. Very adventure-based, where you're going to be upgrading your bag of chips, and you'll be pulling them out in order to activate different actions, but you're going on this grand adventure. So I don't remember if it was this one or Oathsworn with the narrator, but this one has a musical score and voice-acted storyline. Okay, it might be this one, but both of them look great. I love that this is a different system, and I think it'll be a lot of fun to play. So Isofarian Guard looks great. Up next is Burgle Bros 2, the Casino Caper. So this one here should be here very soon as well. Burgle Bros 2 has you taking that great, simple, cooperative game and taking it to a new place. So you're going to be in the casino. So this is just more Burgle Bros. It's a great game. Fun game, great theme. I love the soundtracks that you can play while you play it. And the system is very straightforward, very easy to manage. A lot of fun. I'm excited to try out the new characters involved. Up next is another bag-building style game. Well, it was. This is Trudvang Legends. So we got a message that said that this one will be delayed quite a bit because they're going to redo a lot of stuff, which is interesting. We'll see what happens with it. I hope that it's going to be good, but we'll see. The game itself is set in this really cool fantasy land, and originally it was going to be a bag-building game where you're going to be putting chips in your bag, you'll be pulling them out a la Quacks of Quedlinburg, pulling them out, putting them onto things to activate different spells, and I think that's a really cool concept. I hope that it works well, and I hope the changes they make to it make it a better game. So a lot of times with Kickstarter games, I don't care how long they are going to take, because they're going to get here, and we have a constant stream of stuff coming in, so it's not a big deal. Take as long as you need, just make sure the game's good. Don't give me a dud. That's all I hope for. So luckily, I have not had that many negative experiences with Kickstarter. The biggest negatives have been the wait time, but when they get here, they are usually quality. So I'm pretty excited for this one. It looks great. Up next, we have Midara, the Unintentional Malum. This one should also be here fairly soon. It is a anime JRPG style game mixed with a dungeon crawler. You're going to be moving around, having a giant exploring, giant expanding story. A lot of cool customization in this game, and I think this will be a lot of fun. You could have people pick and choose the characters that they really want to play, and I think that's great. Customization is always good in a game. Being able to do what you want is kind of one of the fun parts of a game. If you're pigeonholed into a specific area, it can get kind of annoying, but if you get to customize, then you feel better, you feel like you're in control, and when you make good decisions and bad decisions, you realize it is you that's ultimately doing that, which is, I think, really neat. And I think this one will be a great one. Up next is a huge game for the, well, not huge, it's a game that's going to be for a huge group, I should say. This is Blood on the Clock Tower. It's a huge werewolf-style game. We don't actually have any big ones like this, and I'm hoping that this one is good. I'm not a big fan of werewolf-style games, but I've heard really good opinions on this one, and I hope it lives up to the hype. So I would be remiss if I didn't say that I was influenced at the time by Shut Up and Sit Down to back this game. They had a lot of high praise for it. They don't normally do Kickstarter previews, so it was a special case, so I figured I'd give it a try. And if it doesn't go well, we can always push it forward and hopefully find a group that enjoys it. But I'm sure there will be people that enjoy this one, so even if I don't like it, I'm glad it's in the library so people can enjoy it. Up next is another one that should be here soon. A lot of these last ones should be here in like weeks or months. And this is Tsukiyumi. So right now, the last I heard, they're on the boat, or trying to get them on the boat, something like that. But this one is really interesting. The moon has crashed into the earth, and inside is a dragon. So that already the premise is really crazy. So you're going to be trying to fight over control of the whole, I don't know if it's the planet or just the resource, or I'll be honest, I don't really know a lot about the whole concept of the game, but the mechanics look solid. I love the different miniature combat. It reminds me a lot of Blood Rage, how you're going to be having different units moving around. I'm really excited for this one. I can't wait to play it. This is Tsukiyumi, Full Moon Down. And the last one on today's list is Millennium Blades Collusion. Now, this is another one that should be here in a week or two. I've got the confirmation emails. I'm very excited. This is a CCG simulation game. So very excited for Collusion. It also introduces a cooperative mode, and this was a way to get everything all at once. So I figured let's put it in there. The system sounds solid. I have played this one. This game is really cool. You have these two phases where you have one phase where you're in a card shop and you're buying cards and building up your deck. In the second phase, you're at a tournament and you're actually playing the deck that you've constructed in the first phase. So there's a lot of reading in this game, but the more you play it, I assume, the better you get at it. But you can also just stick with your starter deck and try to look for cards that are good for that, which I think is great for newer players. I'm sure that's definitely what I did when I started playing. I looked at my starter deck, I was like, okay, what's going to be good for this deck? And luckily, it's not super overwhelming, not creating a deck of like 40 cards without knowing what any of them do, but it's only like 7 cards. So this game ultimately is a hand management game, more so than it is a deck building game, if that makes sense. So you have your deck is really small. It's only like 7 cards. So you will pick and choose which cards, and you can sell certain cards to get others. It's really fascinating. I really like this whole concept of the game. I like the buying phase, and it does feel like a collectible card game. And I think that's great. I think they did a great job with Millennium Blades. So this is exclusively the Kickstarter games that we are waiting on. There's a lot of pre-orders out there as well, but I just want to kind of cover the Kickstarters we're waiting for, consolidate them in one video. I may do a video in the future of the other things we're waiting on. That includes things from GameFound and other pre-order systems, so if we didn't order them directly through Kickstarter. So that's the huge slate of games that we're waiting on. So very excited for that to happen. And very excited for them to come in, to learn them, to teach them. What do you think? Is there something you're waiting for? Is there something that you think we should add to our library? Something that'd be fun to play? What are your opinions? Any requests from new videos? Any questions? If you made it this far, thanks so much. I really appreciate the view time. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Side Game strong.